Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to Replays with Revo, where we take a look at a game that's already been played. We analyze the replay, a little bit of more in-depth cast from my excellent elite Dota mind. Of course, as you probably well know, it's not quite that. But we're going to be looking at Complexity Gaming's game against North American Rejects version 2. Let's go ahead and get it started here. Oh, it does have the draft drums. Except every time I jump ahead, it's going to do that. Okay. First things first. The bans are not correct. The Pudge ban is not correct, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a bit of a problem for this draft, simply because there's a Pudge ban that just doesn't make any sense. I about said, why did they ban Pudge, guys? But we're going to be looking at the genius that is Swindle Melons in this. Okay, so your first two picks here. You ban out the Wisp, you ban out the Gyro. We'll talk about that in a second, because there's a reason they banned those heroes out specifically. First of all, Dazzle Undying. This is an incredibly well-sustained lineup already. Just Dazzle Undying. You've got tons of heal, you've got tons of damage as well. Coming out with just these two heroes. Now, against the Witch Doctor, I'm a little surprised they actually picked Witch Doctor into the Dazzle. Simply because you have your Dazzle ult, gives you armor over time. The longer the fight goes on, the less effective Death Ward's going to be, meaning you're kind of on the clock to get it off. Also, Leshrac makes sense here, but not quite as much sense, as he is a strong hero, yes, but again, he's not as great against someone like Dazzle, who can just kind of keep you burst healed, kite you very well, and whatnot. Let's move on ahead some. Viper comes up for North American Rejects. This is a tombstone killer. That's why they drafted it. Nether Toxin. That's why. Also, damage over time decent against Dazzle, but that's another issue. Whoa. Going back here. Don't want to reveal the Warlock just yet. Sand King. Coming up next. Now, the more units he hits with Caustic Finality, the longer the Sandstorm goes on, the longer the Epicenter goes on, the more damage he does in a fight. And this is getting very important because you also have Tombstone, making you even stronger in the fight. The longer the fight goes on, the better they get. Dazzle, Weave. The longer the fight goes on, the better they get. Not to mention the Grave, which keeps these heroes alive to make the fight get better the longer it goes on. You're seeing a pattern here. Now, North American Rejects do get a read here, and they start reading the Shadow Poison. The Shadow Poison does kind of counteract this a bit. And it's a hero that, seriously, Complexity don't want to play against. And we see them ban it a lot, especially in tonight's series as well, simply because it's a strong ability. I mean, the longer the fight goes on, the more stacks you get. Eventually, you're going to get a lot of damage. But here's the real big pickup. The Warlock for Complexity, and this tied it all together. At this point, you're looking at Complexity's draft going, okay, well, they have all squishy heroes. If they last past 30 minutes, game is over. And yes, that's true. But, again, the longer the fight goes on, the better Warlock gets. With Fatal Bonds doing a lot of damage to enemies in the fight, which isn't even the focus here, mostly it's upheaval. You lay down a Tombstone, you lay down an upheaval, nobody going anywhere. The slow from Tombstone, the slow from upheaval, they'll stack up, and you will just go nowhere at that point. It'll be terribly hard to get away from them. The Grasping Hands will just drag you on down. Beastmaster comes up for North American Rejects, giving them a bit of an attack speed aura, hopefully to bring down the Tombstone a little better. The BKB Piercing Stun, because at this point, you look at Complexity Gaming and you're like, okay, well, they have to have a really hard carry. They have to have a hard BKB carry. Beastmaster will counter it. They get a Weaver. And you go, hold the phone. They get a Weaver. Well, first of all, he's a natural Lincoln's builder. Against Beastmaster, that's fantastic to have. Second of all, he's got armor reduction over time, so the longer the fight goes on, the more armor you get. And really, their plan here is to elongate the fight. So let's go ahead and move into the draft now. I'll be slowing down at times, I'll be speeding up at times. And we're going to go ahead and speed through the first few minutes of the draft, simply because, let's be honest here, the way that Complexity play, their laning stage goes badly.
30 seconds to battle.
It doesn't matter. I've got Swindle selected here because I'm more interested in his skill build because I don't particularly remember what it was. He gets the bounty rune, they block the creeps a bit, blah, blah, blah. See people moving around now. Okay, first big move. You skill up your last word, you put it on the enemy hero. This instantly says, hey, I'm a core. Deal with it. Because you're going to be taking damage over time. The whole time you're in lane, buddy. The whole time. Oh, I just realized something, and I feel pretty stupid. The overlay. But you guys got what I was talking about. Anyway, sorry about that. Again, let me go to free camera. There, can I move it now? Okay, here we go. Again, he tickles him on down. Now, I want to say there was a salve here for Lesh. Okay, how did he get this health back then? Hold on. Hello, friend. Last word. Alright, so he starts ticking down with last word. Oh, he instantly has a salve brought to him in lane because he knows how much damage Warlock's going to be throwing out. So he waits out the second last word and pops the salve. Okay. Back in the game now. Sorry about that. Complexity, though, they just bide their time. And we're going to go even faster. Oh no, first blood. We lost our Undying. Whatever shall we do? Does it matter? I mean, you're looking at a Viper who is, in all essence, of burst damage here. He wants to get Viper Strike off, then he wants to finish you. He doesn't want to fight against you for a long period of time. He can, but that doesn't mean he wants to, and especially not against this team. Anyways, we've already lost one. That's not a good situation to be in. Okay, whatever. We're like having some trouble in the mid lane. We'll bottle back up. We're gonna see Korok bottling up as well. Going for the 1-3-1 build. What really matters is that he drops the rock, he takes down Leshrac. Okay, that's great. And he's bottle crowing this whole time. He's gonna get himself a pretty quick hand of Midas. Haste Rune spotted out. He'll grab the Haste Rune. He'll keep doing that. Dire's Courier actually goes down, which is a bit unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Zoom, 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 zoom through the replay, because we're getting to the important part. Because the important part is the combo. Okay, Moomiander dies on the bot lane. What do you know? He feeds. Okay, cool. The thing is, for complexity, the lanes don't matter. Now, they drop a Golem here, as well as a... just Sand King, Burrow Strike, and Sandstorm. In fact, Sand King doesn't even pick up the ulti right now, so that he can be more aggressive. And, he's very close to Blink Dagger. Ziz is going to be getting farmed up on the Weaver. But give me the... okay, just click on the hero. Wow. And you can see he's already got 1 point up in the Swarm. I'm pretty sure after this he starts maxing it right away. And at this point, watching the game, I'm thinking, okay, we got a problem. And here's the problem. Complexity have very long cooldowns on their team fight. I mean, you look at Warlock. That's probably just enough. But you also have Sand King. You also have, to an extent, the Tombstone. And the Undying Ult as well. Narvi 2 have a minute on the Death Ward. Less than a minute. Or, okay, a minute-ish on the Primal Roar. If potentially less than a minute on Viper, although Vipers have been picking up Sanch and Yasha over the Viper Strike Ags anyway. But they have very quick snap teamfight. In fact, Leshrac has almost nothing that goes on cooldown. This is the problem. How do they work around it?
Bottom tower is under attack.
And the reason I'm coming up with is that they have so much stall in these fights that they can do it. In fact, right here. Okay. Weaver now has 2 points up in the Swarm as he comes in here. They've already got zombies on them, and as you can see, there's 2 stacks of this Death Strike passive, which is very complicated, but basically, you slow them a bit, which stacks, and if they get low enough, guess what? You get bonus speed as a zombie. 50% attack speed, 50% move speed. That's pretty great. Okay. Whoa there. This is going a little too fast. Let's go to 2 times. But they managed to deny the tower. They're keeping their objectives up for the most part. And Swindle starts farming. Actually, let's just speed it back up because we want Swindle to have his Ags. And I don't really know when it comes around, but it's a very quick Ags. And there's the Chinese caster spamming stuff out. Okay, now, another big point. They group up early. It's 14 minutes in. Your hero levels are all level 8. They're giving these heroes pretty even experience. Now, of course, Warlock's going to be a higher level. Of course, he's going to be a higher level. He's got a Midas, he's mid. It happens. But they know who to go after. The Beastmaster, who is probably the worst thing to play a Wombo combo against because of his Primal Roar and the fact that it's going to interrupt your team fight. And they say, well, we're not going to get Beastmaster, guys. We can't jump on him too easily. Can we take the tower? I thought they took the tower around here. I may be wrong. You can see Fly, he's just sitting in the back. He's like, I got a Blink Dagger, I got an Epicenter, let's go when we're ready. Cat's gonna do it, but they still have the Weaver to get them out of that. Meanwhile, Swindle continuing to farm away on the Ags. 2,000 gold away at 15 minutes in. Very nicely done. Let's say, okay, can't get the tower. Meanwhile, NAR are taking a bit of map control, because you have to admit, this team is on a bit of a timer. Now, when the timer goes off, everything doesn't instantly die. But you're in a lot of trouble for a good 10-minute period, and they have no Diffusal Carrier, which is the other thing I was very surprised they didn't pick up as a 5th pick. I thought they'd instantly grab a Diffusal Carrier to counter the Warlock. We're not going to see it. And Warlock, with this high level, is going to be able to do a ton in a team fight. I mean, we're looking for 3.5 seconds to get to the max slow. 3.5 seconds into the team fight, you get an 84% slow. Combined with the slow from the Tombstone, you're pretty well off, I'd say. Okay, speed it up. Lose another tower. They get another deny. Now this is big. This is 2 towers denied. NAR kind of do want to deathball push this. But if they're not getting the gold from the towers, what's the point? You see what I'm saying? And now they're going to go for the top lane. I don't believe they get this deny, simply because there's no units up here to take it. They use the Necro 1 to take it down. And they're going to say, okay, let's go for a T2. Instantly, though. Let me just rewind us about 10 seconds here. And watch the minimap alone. I don't know what that ping is that's still pinging. Okay, they go for a fight mid as the top goes down, trying to take advantage of their space. And as soon as that top goes down, they go, guys, they're keeping pushing. We gotta move up. 3 heroes instantly rotating up here. As they're gonna go in on the Witch Doctor, I wanna say. Okay, this is where things get hairy. We're gonna definitely need to slow it down a little. As Witch Doctor ult starts going off. But as you can see, we're gonna pause right here. Take a look. 320 move speed for Beastmaster. Witch Doctor, 344. What was Ush at? Ush is at 371. And this is about a second of the slow coming in. Keep things going, and they just cannot sustain. Because not only does the upheaval slow them down, but Warlock's Golem is doing 40 damage per second in a 300 AoE. And it's not exactly a slow-moving thing. It's slow right now, thanks to the Corrosive Skin and the Leshrac thing that doesn't have a correct modifier, but it's going to be able to get in there, in the face. And in all honesty, you look at this and say, okay, Complexity take a 3-for-3 fight. This isn't what they want. The trick is that this is fine. Because this is their only big fight without Warlock Axe. Warlock now has 3k in his stash, in the bank, ready to go. And he even picks up the double kill. 4 for 3 and Complexity, boom, they're back in the game right now. Sure, their towers aren't up. Okay. Let's fast forward to the next drop of the rock, because that's where things get interesting. Or at least when it's up, is when things get interesting. Warlock now having the Axe, Leshrac with a Bloodstone, and Weaver with a Deso. which, keep in mind, they have the armor reduction from Dazzle over time. They have the armor reduction from Weaver over time. This Deso is going to work a wonder for them. But, counting down the Golem. I mean, nothing really happens here. Sure, you lose a couple towers. Okay, Golem is back up. Let's slow it back down to 2 times speed. We'll talk about it. Keep in mind, Warlock is not highest net worth. He's doing good, but he's not highest. However, in terms of tempo and their ability to take fights here, Complexity is in a great spot. And here's the disruption. Here's where it comes in. Everything starts to unravel a bit. Fly's here. They're trying to deward. However, there's instantly a counterplay here with the disruption in on Moon Meander, who doesn't want to throw down the Tombstone, which is exactly what they were trying to bait out. They wanted to bait out that reaction and say, okay, you don't have Tombstone. We know the Warlock ult is up. If you don't have Tombstone, we can take a fight. We can take a fight super easy. That's not going to be what happens. You can see Shadow Demon getting 6 stacks of poison up there, doing tons of damage with the Shadow Wave. But now they're all 5 grouped up here, and Swindle in the perfect position. Hasn't been spotted until just then. They'll take down 1 tower, and they still have the rock, and here's where they drop it. And all of a sudden, Viper and Shadow Demon are like, Team, where are you? Chad instantly starts TPing back. Beastmaster does not have a TP, and this is a fatal flaw in their strategy at the moment, because he desperately needs a TP. Leshrac has a TP. Keep in mind, he had a Bloodstone that he just got before that previous fight. Got picked off in the meantime. And Ush literally evaporates at that point. And now, the big team fight controller, other than the Beastmaster, who, keep in mind, they may not realize this, but he doesn't have a TP. So he has no way of getting into the fight right now. The big team fight control is all of a sudden gone from NAR V2. They have nothing. I believe Death Ward, it's not up, but Chad is already forced to take a defensive position here on the high ground. Or the rear end of the game. Here, sorry, and survive that way. So now, they siege a tower. Not to mention, Swindle is gonna get a big upheaval up. Okay, so Sand King's dead. He already got an epicenter off. He already did a ton of damage. Leshrac and Witch Doctor go down with him. That's a 2-for-1 trade. A support for a core and a half, basically. And now Leshrac is down to 4 Bloodstone charges. Meanwhile, Swindle still getting the upheaval off. They will roar the Weaver. They already force the Beastmaster back. They throw down a defensive Tombstone just to say, you cannot chase us. You can't say, okay, all their big ults are down. Let's go get them. Not going to happen. Because, see, you have to fight through the Tombstone. And this, again, is a big, big problem. So, let's speed things up here just a bit till the next rock getting dropped. And we see a 5-man Roche from NAR. But the problem is, you want to have a second life, but you want everyone to have a second life. You look at buyback, you see these Radiant heroes already saving for buyback. In fact, Korok is going to be sitting on 1,500 right now. We're going to see Beastmaster sitting on 1,300. Your supports and your core even a little close to that. Now, Viper is going to have to buy his items, of course, and they're all going to have to buy items. But they know this, it's kind of a one-shot wonder from Complexity. As they do drop the top Tombstone now, and I'll slow it down because we are close to a rock drop pretty soon from your Warlock. We're just going to split off some illusions now. And they think this is real. They really do. For a bit. The Witch Doctor figures it out. Meanwhile, they'll just take a bot tower. And here's the problem. You've got a Warlock ult up. They can't just run at you and say, let's take a fight, team. Come on, we can take them. There is a Warlock ult ready to go. Ready to drop. And they just plop down a Tombstone, I believe, mid lane. Or somewhere. No, they popped it down over here to stop the fight a bit ago. They take a mid tower, they defend their tier 2, or a bot tower, excuse me. And we still haven't seen the rock dropped. Meanwhile, Warlock is getting close to Refresher, which is, I don't know how much gold it is right off the top of my head. 5,300, there we go. We got it. Boom. 27 minutes in. You have an Ags Refresher Warlock. 4 golems ready to siege the base, excuse me. All their ults are up. What are you gonna do here? Because you have no reliable kill on the golem. I mean, you have the Viper Strike. But even if you kill 1 golem with that, it's only 1 golem. And they just continue farming up. Waiting to drop the rock. He is level 16 now. So those golems are very, very strong. 94 damage apiece. I mean, they have slightly reduced stats because of the scepter, but really, it's still just as good in my opinion. And we're like now with the smoke. This is how they want to take the fight, I think. But the crazy thing is, they take most of this game without taking the fights. They don't have to. They'll 5-man smoke now. Now, they're pinging out the mid lane because they know who the damage dealer, they know who the big important hero is here, and that's Leshrac, who also has an Aegis, but no big deal. You take him down, he doesn't have the Aegis anymore. And speaking of which, he doesn't have the Aegis anymore anyway, because it just expired. And surely to goodness, Complexity are sitting here saying, hey, we can work this out. Easy. Easy peasy. MSS Dota, moving on the bot lane, does have that Necro 3 and working on his Blink Dagger. Meanwhile, Lesh is like, okay, team. Fine, if they're not going to fight, I've got a split push, because we, again, are on a clock. And I'm just waiting for the Golem drop to kind of happen, because it should be happening any second now. Maybe I was mistaken. We'll fast forward a little more there. Because, I mean, to be honest, outside of the team fights this game, not much happens. Oh. And here's where things could have gotten really bad. Complexity, lose a hero bot lane. His Fly gets taken down by Leshrac. And now you can't team fight because you have to have all the pieces there to make the team fight work. But you see what NAR do with this. They're still so afraid of the big team fight, the Tombstone and the Golem, that they're like, okay, we farm. For, I believe, pretty much the entire duration of the Sand King death. Now, Leshrac does go split push a tiny bit. But yeah, Sand King's back up now. And now they have things to work with. They've even bought a little time for the Beastmaster. Actually goes for Vlad's over a Blink, I believe. Now, the bird will be taken down. There's an Ags up on Witch Doctor. And as a Complexity fan watching the game, I was like, okay, we have lost, boys. Oh, that is it. Game is over. Not quite. As, we'll see just how easy it is for him to stop getting that Ags off. Now, instant upheaval to follow up the Burrow Strike. This is what I love from Swindle's movements in this game, because it keeps them in the AoE of Sandstorm just a little bit longer. Now, sure, they TP away, because there's not a big stun coming in there. That's already a TP cooldown burned, and they know Leshrac's up here. Oh my gosh, where is the Golem? They still don't teamfight? Are you joking? Okay, now both teams know Roche is up. And Weaver has his MKB. They finally have some damage on the team. Weaver gonna go after the Roche. And they'll check it. They'll scout it out, but there's not much they can do. The MKB and the Deso doing a lot of damage here. They will get the Aegis up on Weaver. And I want to say this is it. I want to. Gosh, this is the worst episode of replays of Revo ever, and it's only episode 2. Viper now with the AC picked up. Now we're just splitting up here. Now there is a defense from Swindle, who, keep in mind, has boots of travel. He can get to this team at any time. Because worst case scenario, let's keep in mind, they can drop a Tombstone and he can TP in on a zombie. It's not the greatest of TPs, but it works. We are going to get this in here. And please tell me this is it, or I'm going to be very embarrassed that I didn't fast forward through all of this. The Swindle hasn't ulted for, I'm going to say, a good 3 or 4 minutes. But now they know the refresher's up, and they are terrified. And they're going to go ahead and defensively armor up. Now, another thing to keep in mind is Dazzle Weave completely affects the Golems. And he is all about sustain. There's no poison touch picked up here on the hero. In fact, he actually has 5 levels of stats over poison touch. Now pop the glyph right now, and that is the cue to go. There's a in on the tombstone. I believe we're about to see the ult come out. No, that was a heal onto Weaver. And it's a little bit slow to keep him back, but they can't kill this tombstone. When Fly comes up, they drop rock number 1, and this is where I need to slow down the team fight just a bit. Let's see here. Okay. Let's fast forward a bit. A bit more. Okay, there's the armor. Where's the tombstone? Where's the tombstone? Sorry about this. I rebound way too far. Okay, here we go. Now tombstone goes down, and they're keeping this position on the back lines. You can see very well. Swindle, he's got the rock ready to go. They already healed up the tombstone. They've got crazy armor because of Weave. And there, they just slow down Ush and Korak to keep them in the AoE even more. They get to soul rip the tombstone twice. Now Fly comes up, gets the burrow strike off on 2. And they instantly get the rock dropped on 3 with the refresh. Now, on the other hand, Shad, on the back lines, gets an ult off. That's big. They drop the other one. But see, at this point, these heroes have done their part, and they've already taken down the Shadow Demon completely. He's been already forced to buy back, and there's still 4 golems that are standing tall and strong in this fight. Weaver is in deep, but he's gonna have Shallow Grave, not to mention the Aegis, to keep him up. Now he'll go down, but already this tower has gone 14 health blower in a span of just a few seconds. Sizz gets shouted at, basically. And he's got a buyback if he needs it, but he doesn't even need it because they've got basically 4 extra heroes. He'll use it anyway and actually time-lapse back into the fight. A very risky play, might I add. But now there's 3 heroes down. That's a die back from your Shadow Demon. And they're like, okay guys, well if we take this fight, we just buy back and we wipe them. The problem is there's still golems that are alive. There's still a tombstone that is probably, I would suspect, yeah, up in 4 seconds ready to get dropped. And this begins to deteriorate very quickly for an RB2. They force out another buyback, but that's already their second tower. MSS almost dies back as well. They'll lose the golems. Okay, so Korak gets 400 gold. Cool. We got a Rex. And instantly they say, okay team, now's the time. Now's the time to push. I'm just going to slip to directed camera for a moment. You do see an RB2 moving on into push.
Dire's middle tower is under. Dire's middle tower has fallen.
And they take the mid tower easily. Now, okay, free camera again, because we're going to pause here. Golems are up in a minute. I keep forgetting I can't use WASD while it's paused for whatever reason. But the tombstone is still up to counter push. They take it down quick, but their units are already falling. And there is a Necro 3 up for the Warlock as well.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And you can see they're just using spells to stall, to stop the push. Coming in here. Speed it up a bit more. Golem is up now, but you're not going to see them use the Golem defensively. They basically only use it offensively. Because they know how important it is to take those team fights. Swindle continuing to farm up. And they're going to group up here looking for a smoke. So here's your 5-man smoke. Straight down the mid lane, they actually decide to go bot. And by the time they get there, the creep solo pushed out. They actually spot out the boar from in here. They're going to actually reveal themselves down here, looking for a hero but not going to find it. And they just push out the lane a little bit more. Now they're looking for that bird. Bit of a pest here. And actually, NAR have a lot of vision on them at this time. And they know they're not home. And if nobody's home, well, you siege the base. That's just what you do. This episode turning out a lot longer than I thought it would be. Because I remember this game being a lot shorter. They just use the upheaval defensively. No need to blow your ult there, and that's what they were trying to bait out. It's like, oh, it's just Lesh, he's alone. Well, if it's just Lesh and he's alone, why would I use the ult? Is Complexity's thinking. They do take a tower. Okay, whatever. We're just waiting on that big team fight. I'm gonna actually fast forward a bit here. Oh, that was way too far because it was right there. Okay. So we do see one drop. Just one golem. He does refresh and instantly he walks toward mid. So that's what he's going for. Now Leshrac, he has TP. He's ready to get back. And Fly could be with the team. He could be 5-manning straight down mid, which is the metagame. They lose a Rax and Fly is like, oh god, I'm alone, what do I do? Meanwhile, they take another Rax and they don't even have to drop the golems. There's a buyback from Ush on the Viper. And at this point, most of the buybacks are dropping very quick. You're gonna see Moon Meander. Slowed up a lot. Weaver's sieging the tower as well. And look, Leshrac is here. He clears out the trees as well because I just missed it. Okay, so they take down the ranged Rax, right? And Lesh is thinking, okay, I'm gonna get to the top lane, I'm gonna be fine. Fly, sneaky little guy that he is, gets up here and cancels the TP in a play of sheer brilliance. Mostly thanks to this ward, right here. Meanwhile, back at the base, Leshrac cannot get home to defend. And they're gonna take at least one tier 4, if not both, if I'm remembering correctly. And they still have another ult available on, Svindle Melons here. Who will get Grave, eat the cheese, and get back up. There's your other ult. And already Beastmaster on the sidelines. Leshrac down with the buyback and no TP as well, because that's on cooldown. He can't even get up to the top lane if he had Boots of Travel, which he does not. Keep in mind. He actually picks up a Blade Mail as well. That's when you know you're desperate, when you build Blade Mail on your Lesh. And when the dust settles, which does eventually happen, after the golems literally chase them to the well, they lose another tier 1 tower. But keep in mind, or tier 4, excuse me, they took both tier 4s down. And they'll force some buybacks, yeah. But the Ancient is now under siege. And this is the point where NAR have nothing else standing in the way of their base. And they'll just hold a defense until Moon can get back up. Big team fight going on. That's a dieback from Lesh. He's down for a minute. And Swindle's up in 20. And he has Boots of Travel. Now he'll clean that up, but they've got a dieback or a death from Shadow Demon now. Ancient under siege. Already the roar came out, but you can see the Burrow Strike positioning from Fly, which I'm not too sure where he is at the moment. Oh, there he is. Right in here. Sorry, I couldn't quite see him. Manages to grab 2 again. I'm honestly not too sure why Viper's stunned up here. I think it may be the mini bash from MKB. But even the AC, it isn't holding them up against this. Because keep in mind, the AC should be reducing the armor of the Tombstone. And there is not an AC on Complexity, which I think was the only thing they were missing here. They drop a rock. They drop another rock. And that's all she wrote. Literally the game over in a blink of an eye. And I know I'm fast forwarding like crazy here. But let's just go back just a second to the draft. How do you counter this team? But just think about it for a second. How do you counter this team? You can't go with anything like Wraith King, like you would a Void. Because a Void-based wombo combo relies on that Chronosphere. Okay, Wraith King dies in the Chronosphere, he gets right back up, he's still swinging. Not to mention Wraith King is not great in the metagame at the moment, but that's another story entirely. Wraith King falls over next to Tombstone and Upheaval. Wraith King gets up. There's still a Tombstone there. There's still Upheaval there. I honestly don't have a solution to counter this lineup. A Venomancer could be very nice in place of the Viper. And for me to say that means that he actually would be quite good. However, Weaver still is very good against Veno because of the time-lapse. So it's hard to say. I don't see a counter to Complexity strat. Will they ever get this draft again? I highly doubt it. I think this is going to be... Some of these heroes are going to be respect banned from them early on just because they know they've ran this strat before. Because this was a stellar draft. An outstanding draft, to say the least, for Complexity. Yeah. It was just an outstanding draft from them. And, of course, they take down North American Rejects and go on to take them down again 3-0. They didn't drop a game to North American Rejects over 5 games, which is very dominant. And should North American Rejects version 2 win the wild card, they are going to be, well, under some heavy hate from Complexity very early on. Anyways, we will be right back with another game. Of course, thank you for watching Replays with Revo here on Truesight TV. I'm SP-Revolution5. Now, you can find Truesight TV at Truesight TV everywhere. You can find me at SP-Revolution5 on Twitch and Twitter, on SP-Revolution5Dota on Facebook. Thank you guys for watching. Any comments you have about Replays of Revo, any things you'd like to see added, any things you'd like to see improved, let us know in the comments below or in Twitch chat. That would be very useful. And, yeah, we'll be right back with the other Join Dota League game for the night, guys. Until then, just enjoy the music.